anyway. But yeah, it's YouTube is an interesting beast.
I can quickly show you YouTube. I haven't had a look at your YouTube. I've seen your other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, this is
Wow.
something I've been doing on there as well, is as I said, weaving a tapestry from start to finish. So documenting the whole process of weaving a tapestry, as I've put there, 70 odd hours of tapestry condensed into 5 minutes.
Wow, brilliant.
So I try and put on YouTube what I want to see on YouTube, because as I said, there aren't very many visual artists on YouTube, and especially visual artists over 40. There's definitely not many of those. So when I'm doing studio vlogs, I like to show exhibitions that I've gone to highlight other artists here in Adelaide. And I like it to be sort of inspirational if possible. Yeah, and just things like that. So I guess I want to do things that I want to see on YouTube. So that was the purpose of having the YouTube channel. I mean, if it gets monetized at some point, that's a bonus, because it's always good to diversify the income, as they say. But yeah, it's become more than what I originally set out for it to be. Like at first, it was just about getting my work out there. But now it's become a bit of a community. I definitely have the same people commenting and people sharing the videos. And I'm going to start doing more tapestry tips on there, although I hate the idea of teaching tapestry. That's just not me. I'm not a teacher. I'm way too impatient. But I am sharing a lot of that sort of thing on there as well. Just things that I couldn't find when I was learning tapestry. Because when I started, there wasn't anything on YouTube. So I hadn't even seen anyone doing tapestry weaving. So these days, there's more resources for people learning tapestry. And I just wanted to contribute some of that as well. So yeah, that's...
Well, and you're taking teaching to a new realm anyway. It might be a different experience, just like you've done with tapestry and just like you've done with x-rays and things like that.
So. Yeah, I mean, when you're learning tapestry, they don't tell you certain things like how do you keep the edges of the tapestry straight. That's something that takes years to learn. But there are tips that you pick up on the way that people don't really talk about. And the tapestry community is quite closed and not very forthcoming with information. And I don't really know why. So I want to say, well, here's some tips that if I knew earlier, it would have helped me out earlier. So that's kind of what I'm concentrating on as well. But I don't want it to be just tapestry related, because I consider that my art comes first and the medium is just incidental to that. I just happen to use tapestry instead of painting or drawing. So it's a balance, but it has become a bigger beast than I was kind of expecting it to come. And yeah, it's definitely given me some other skills that I never had before, like filming, editing, talking.
Oh, that is so impressive, that YouTube channel. That is just, there's a work that must have gone into that.
Yeah, learning how to edit videos. I mean, I think the hardest thing was talking in front of the camera and not feeling like a complete idiot, because we're so picky with ourselves. And, when I'm editing, at first I was like, oh my God, you just come across as so,
Yeah, I had to look at myself yesterday. I was like, oh no.
Do I really talk like that? Oh my God, I sound stuck up. You have to sort of just get over it and just think, well, you are who you are, as long as you're your authentic self. I like to think that how you see me on YouTube is how you see me in real life. So you wouldn't be surprised if, you met me. So, and if people don't like that, I've never cared what people think of me before. I don't see why I should start caring now. So yeah, it's challenging, but once you get over that hump of seeing yourself on video and hearing yourself, once you get over that, it's fine. And I really don't care now. I just, whatever. I haven't been hated on yet.
And then the reaction of people that get to experience, I mean, as an ex-high school teacher, I'm thinking of, we're often looking for artists that kids can connect with. it's fabulous to see the medium being explored and, then you get the feedback and response, which can drive you as well. Actually, there's a question in the chat about how do you maintain energy for your practice after working full time?
I'm a very high energy person anyway. My partner says manic, but I don't think, well, maybe I am. So I don't turn off much. And I'm one of those people that I'm up here, and then as soon as it's time for me to go to bed, like, 10:30, 11 o'clock, I'm asleep now. So I'm completely shut down. So I don't really get tired until then.
So maybe if we made a Michelle Driver pill that we could all take to have the same energy. What are some of the things you do to maintain your energy?
I mean, I do try and exercise every day. Like, I do go for a walk every morning. It's great working from home, a bit more now than before, but it's good doing that. So I can go for a walk. So I do make sure I look after myself, because I figure that my body is, as we all do, we need our bodies to do our work. So it's like an instrument. You have to look after it, otherwise you won't be able to do what you love doing. So I do try to, but no, I'm not very good at relaxing at all.
I can relate.
I think that this is relaxing, like doing my weaving, that is relaxing. So
Yeah.
I don't feel like I need to relax. So no, there is no off switch for me, I'm afraid.
No, we're happy with that. Your energy's been amazing. Is there any other questions out there? I'm just going to pull up your screen again. Just run through your slides again. So we saw you weaving, which was, that kind of started something, because when I showed other people the video that you'd given us, it meant the other presenters, we got some footage of other presenters making. Yeah,
it's funny that it's things that we just take for granted that other people find interesting.
Yeah.
And because I remember when I first started doing YouTube, I thought, oh, no one's going to want to see this. And then I thought, well, actually they do, because I would have loved to have seen this. When I was learning how to weave, I would have loved to have seen someone weaving. It's such a basic thing. With tapestry as well, I like seeing people, I still like seeing people do tapestry, because I feel like I'm a bit of I just make things up as I go along quite a bit, and I don't do things in a traditional way. But sometimes there's probably a better way of doing it. And so I like to watch other people doing that in case I learn something. So I always love seeing people create, and just generally, I love seeing people create. It's one of my, that's why I watch a lot of studio vlogs on YouTube. I just love seeing people making things. So the more people that do video, I think the better, because it's great seeing the process. And when I buy things that are handmade, I like to see how they're made, because I don't know, maybe I'm just nosy, I don't know.
No,
I love seeing it.
Yeah, it's an energy. When you throw that spindle, is it, or the
shuttle? Yeah.
When you throw the shuttle, is it gliding on another piece of wood, or are you just?
Yeah, so the thing that I'm pulling down, that's the beater, and that's beating down the weft. So the black threads you can see on the loom, they're the warp, and the purple threads you can see, that's the weft. So in hand weaving, it's both the warp and the weft that make the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
That's different from tapestry weaving, because in tapestry, you don't see the warp at all. You only see the weft. So that's the main difference. But on this loom, on the beater, there is it's hard to explain. I'm pointing at it, but that's not
like
helpful.
A lip, yeah.
Yeah, it's as you said, a lip. It's actually called a shuttle race. And on this loom, it's kind of a bit of a space so that the shuttle just glides on there. A lot of looms don't have it, so I love the fact this one does. Some shuttles have little wheels on the bottom, and that helps drive it along. But yeah, all looms are different. So,
do you find it physically taxing?
No, because I've worked out ergonomically how to sit, and you can't see in this video, but when I beat, I tend to lean my body back. and that has helped my back a lot
Yeah.
with weaving. Also, this loom is more ergonomic than my previous looms because, again, you can't see in this one, but there's treadles at my feet. So instead of operating the shafts manually, I can press, a bit like playing a piano, I can press a pedal and it will lift certain shafts, and that will be that's more ergonomic as well. So this is definitely, this loom saved my back a lot.
Wow, that's interesting that it saved your back. I'm sure people have had the opposite experience.
I have to look after my spine, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's good you've got your self-portrait.
Exactly.
Immortalize it.
Exactly.
Well, we might wrap you up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless there's any more questions.
I have one, sorry.
Oh, good.
Hi, Michelle. It's Donna
Hello.
here. I was just wondering, when you're making your beautiful hand-woven products and stuff, do you have any conflict over how you spend your time or split your time between making the things that you know you can sell really easily versus your artwork?
I'm actually pretty balanced with that because, for example, at the moment, I don't really have any deadlines at all. I'm just on my loom at the moment. I'm just building stock because my shop is empty pretty much. Because
Right.
I've got lots of work at stockists. So most of my work's at the Fleurieu Art House, but I do have a bit at the Jam Factory and now a couple at On Meet the Maker at Marion. So my actual web shop is quite low. So I'm sort of concentrating at the moment on doing that. But for my own sanity, I like to just do 50-50 because I can't do weaving all day, also ergonomically. So I try and divide my time. So usually on a weekend, I usually do hand weaving during the day, and then at nighttime I do my tapestry. But also usually on a Saturday I'd go to Collective Haunt and work on that tapestry as well. So I do divide my time up quite a bit. Sometimes you just have to work on one more than the other because of deadlines, or if you've got, like during middle of the year, I had to do a lot of artwork because I had an exhibition at Urbro House. So I had to kind of work really hard on doing that, and the hand weaving kind of fell to the wayside a little bit. But then the last couple of weeks, I had a few scarf commissions. So I had to get those out before I could really do much of tapestry. So as you guys all know, it's a juggling act between doing what you want, which is just for me, stocking the shop is what's the most fun, but also when people have commissions or when you've got exhibitions. So you just have to be good with time management. And I am one of those, I'm very organized person. So for me, that's quite easy to keep on top of everything.
That's kind of obvious.
I'm a bit of a neat freak, I'm afraid. But also my medium is very exacting and it's very mathematical. So especially the hand weaving part of it. So it's part of my personality anyway to be quite pedantic and exacting. So yeah, that kind of works well with the time management as well. I mean, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I completely stuff myself up and don't leave enough time for anything, but I'm also not averse to working late into the night either, because that's fine. So
Thanks.
I was going to ask about the pattern that you referred to. You said you use an ancient pattern with the scarves.
Yeah, weaving drafts are quite traditional. You can develop your own weaving drafts, but I figure that my creative energy goes into my tapestry, whereas when I'm doing what I consider craft work, I'd rather use pre-existing patterns because I don't have the time or the inclination to design my own. So most of the patterns I use are from the 1800s, especially this German designer from back then. I don't know, there seems to be quite a good amount of German weaving patterns. And some of them are just very traditional, like the one that I'm weaving on that loom on the video. That's a very traditional pattern. I don't think anyone really knows where that came from. It's so old. So yeah, most patterns are very old. I don't know how long weaving's been in existence for, but yeah, these traditional patterns, so they're out of copyright obviously, and you can just, I mean, I mix them up with the more complicated patterns. Without getting into too much technical detail, my loom is an 8-shaft loom. So the more shafts on the loom, the more complex your patterns can be. Whereas the more basic patterns are usually 4-shaft. So I do have a few designs that I do that are quite complicated and they require a bit more concentration. So it depends on what I'm feeling like doing at the time. So yeah.
Wow. What an interesting exploration.
Well, I like to think that if you can use modern colours, and all my scarves are infinity scarves. I sew them into a loop. So even though I use traditional weaving drafts, they're done in a less conventional way. Because when I started weaving, pretty much everyone that I knew that was weaving was making, traditional scarves with fringes on them, which I don't like. And I wanted to wear scarves that were looped so they wouldn't fly off. And so that's how I designed that particular pattern. And, I always like doing things that aren't being done by anyone else, because otherwise I think, what's the point in making something if someone's already doing it? I don't want to copy anyone or step on anyone's toes. So I do a lot of research before I develop anything, because I want to make sure I'm either the only one doing it or I'm doing it a different way than everyone else. So that's really important to me.
Fabulous. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you for asking me. As
Thanks
I said,
for your support of the whole project. It's been exciting because you were an early adopter, which was helpful.
Yeah, and you asked me and I was kind of like, sure. And then afterwards I was, what did I agree to? What? I can't talk about myself for that long, but I have to say. But again, you've got to get yourself out of your comfort zone, and, you've got to push yourself into areas that you wouldn't normally go into, I think. And it's been fine. Like, I'm relaxed. It's all good.
Actually, there's one thing I remember, because this was born out of COVID, because we ended up on screens, we ended up on Zoom. We've all ended up sort of maybe having to engage in the idea of video learning and video communication, What's something you've knew that you've learned? I mean, looks like you've learned heaps, but what about in the last, say, 6 months?
I think, and this is going to sound funny, but I think I've learned to just go with my gut more and to trust that I'm on the right track, because I've spent the last number of years always thinking I'm not good enough to even to talk here. Like, who's going to want to hear what I've got to say? But since I've had my first exhibition, and since I've been more active on social media and YouTube, and getting a lot of feedback also from my beautiful art friends, especially at Collective Haunt, I think I've realised that what I do is valid. And, I think a lot of us have that whole imposter syndrome thing going on. And I've always seen myself as a beginner at everything. And I think now I have to just take responsibility for the fact that, no, I'm doing okay. I like the work I'm doing. So I think self-confidence in what I'm doing is what I've learned, especially over the last 6 months, I would say.
Oh, what a beautiful thing to finish after all of that journey through your practice. And people have written about how fascinating it's been to hear about your practice. But what a lovely way to finish that, because who would know that you've got confidence issues?
I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Because I don't in the fact that, like, I've dressed this way, for example, for the last 30 odd years, and I don't really care what people think of me in that respect. But it's more from when you're an artist, that's your soul that you're putting out there. So I'm not as confident with putting myself out there in that way. I mean, I love what I do, but it's, yeah, you know what I mean? It's a bit personal sometimes. It's different from you as an artist. And I guess now I'm seeing myself as everything is all interconnected. So if I'm feeling like I don't care what people think of me, then that should also go into my artwork, everything else that I do. I just do things that I love doing. And if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't, because my work isn't for everyone. You know, some people are horrified by what I make, and same with the tapestry community. Most of them don't like what I do, and I have some really good friends in the tapestry community, but I also have a lot of people who, as soon as my work started getting really dark, they were just like, I don't want to know you anymore. So, you know, I'm not making pretty pictures that everyone loves, and that's okay, because not everyone's doing stuff that everyone loves. And I think if you cater for everyone, then you dilute what you're doing. So that's another lesson I've learned too. Just whatever I want to go with, I'm just going to go with. I don't really worry about what will sell, what will, you know, what would do well in art competitions, for example, because generally in things like art competitions, the things that you don't think people are going to like is what people like. So, you know, just go with the flow and see what happens.
Oh, beautiful. All righty, we might, as I've said a couple of times, we might wrap up.